next match is a fatal four-way match for the Warriors of Wrestling No-Limits title. Introducing to you first. And his opponent, is from the Double Cross Church, weighing 183 pounds, here's Dirtbag Dan. And their opponents.
There's the bell. James Riley, Rudeboy Riley going right after Mike Verna. And Dirtbag Dan and Chris Banks leaving them alone to head out. These two, the feud has been bubbling over. And I think Rudeboy Riley, Mr. Positive Mental Attitude, has finally snapped. Meanwhile, Dirtbag Dan and Chris Banks in the ring. Chris Banks taking down Dirtbag Dan and joined at ringside at the announcer's booth here by the owner, Mr. I Can Stun, the Staten Island Clown.
Whoa, look at the power by Chris Banks. Not that Dan's a heavy guy, but still, that's not usually what Chris Banks is doing. He's usually a high flyer, showing some strength there. And now him and Dirtbag Dan aren't strangers to each other either. If you remember back at Ultimate Survival 2 years ago, they had a one-on-one contest.
Meanwhile, Verna's come back and has decided he is going to take control of Chris Banks. Chris Banks fighting out, though. Verna looks like he went for that skyhead, but missed him. Leveled Banks with a clothesline.
Rudeboy Riley going up to the top rope. Chris Banks and Mike Verna, if you remember, were in a match last week in Bishop Ford High School. Mike Verna very impressive in that match. Excuse me, but Chris Banks victorious again.
Yes.
As he's reigning his third No Limits title.
But once again, a multi-man match to defend the No Limits title.
Chris Banks told me that's just the way he likes it. I'd like to know, I know Chris Banks keeps track of these things, how many opponents he has defeated in his history as being a No Limits champion. I know he's been in a lot of 3-way, 4-way, and even 5-way No Limits scramble matches.
And here we are, Rudeboy Riley has control over the next best thing, Mike Verna, as the fight almost spills out onto ring announcer Sam Gomez's table.
And must I say, Chris Banks is undefeated in these 5-way or multi-man matches, I must say.
Yes. 5, I don't think Chris Levin is in the match, but, you know, we do what we can here. All right, Dirtbag Dan takes down Rudeboy Riley. Dirtbag Dan, you know, I was saying this earlier, the small man in these multi-man matches probably has the advantage. As another competitor, what you'll want to do is take out the biggest men, and what that'll leave is a guy like Dirtbag Dan to clean up the scraps. However, Chris Banks jumping on Dirtbag Dan, and Mike Verna jumping on Chris Banks.
Mike Verna, again, is just impressing me more and more every time I see him. This could be his night to finally become the No Limits champion here in Warriors of Wrestling.
Absolutely. Dirtbag Dan and Mike Verna seem to almost be working together to almost collide with Chris Banks and Rudeboy Riley. Oh, and a double neck breaker. Rudeboy Riley and Chris Banks. However, you know, we say this about these guys, the conditioning of Mike Verna, he is not going to go down so easily. You see,
I've seen this before. Chris Banks.
What is going on here?
Chris Banks doing his own version of Skank and Destroy. I don't know. I don't even know what to call that. It looks like they're both having some fun with it.
You know, they can have as much fun as they want, Joey, but as soon as it's just the two of them in the ring as it is, you cannot trust each other. Rudeboy Riley.
There's Jay George again.
You know, Rudeboy Riley had no right to dive on Jay George like that.
Jay George has no right getting involved in these matches. The second match tonight that Jay George is getting involved in.
You know, and Jay George probably has to go to...
What is Dirtbag Dan doing here? This is a No Limits match. There's no rules in this matchup.
Dirtbag Dan.
Soaring over. Almost lands on his feet.
And brings the crowd to their feet. And everyone but Chris Banks is down, composing themselves. As Chris Banks is scouting his spot, looks like he is going to take flight.
Chris Banks gonna fly! Oh!
Yes, indeed!
I apologize for yelling at the microphone.
I don't think anyone could blame you, Joey, with the excitement of this 4-way match for the Warriors of Wrestling No Limits title. Chris Banks showing why.
I don't want to repeat what the crowd is chanting here now. Chris Banks getting him a chant. I don't want to repeat it on the mic.
It's a family show.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Chris Banks, though, taking Dirtbag Dan. You have to wonder, Dirtbag Dan, without the other members of the Disciples of Priest here tonight, however, always joined by the higher power.
We're going to start this again with this higher.
You know, Joey, I think I've been doing my research. I've been doing
let's just call 1, 2, I can't see it. The whole front row standing up here.
Referee Chris Levin.
Let's just call the No Limits title match here. I don't want to talk about this higher power.
You know, all of this deflecting the higher power, Joey, I think it might be you.
Listen, we need to stop with the nonsense.
Not nonsense. This is journalism
as
here.
Chris Banks goes face first into a garbage can. Dirtbag Dan. Oh!
This is what I'm saying about the smallest guy in the match. You can easily take your eye off them while you focus on Rudeboy Riley or Mike Verna. However, Dirtbag Dan, probably the most dangerous man in this match as a result of his size. The smallest man could easily pick up the scrap.
I remember a wrestler here a few years back named Nick Sabre, not much bigger than Dirtbag Dan. I believe he's the third longest No Limits champion. I can't see what's going on. I wish these guys in the front row would sit down.
Well,
I just seen Rudeboy Riley with
running knee with that.
It's a Dirtbag Dan. I believe here comes Verna.
Yep.
He's there. This is that full Nelson swing. He set up for it. He's got it. Made famous by Ken Patera back in 1984. Look at the power.
Look at the power. Look at Rudeboy Riley, how he's off the ground for that. There is no one pound for pound as strong as Mike Verna at Warriors of Wrestling.
I said that before. We're agreeing on two things tonight. What is Verna doing now? See, he's not one to use a weapon. He usually relies on his strength.
The weapon Mike Verna uses is called Mike Verna.
Well,
that is the weapon Mike Verna uses. However, calling for
that Singapore kendo stick, and as the crowd's cheering him on here. What's he gonna do? Rudeboy Riley's chest is wide open here.
Yep.
Dirtbag Dan just saved Rudeboy Riley?
Stopping Mike Verna from hitting Rudeboy Riley? Having some words here.
Is Dirtbag Dan out of his, look at the power
what is Mike Verna thinking?
With ease.
Gorilla press on Rudeboy Riley.
There's a present for Rudeboy, package delivered. Now, again, with these No Limits matches, Chris Banks is the champion. Does not have to be pinned. I believe he's outside the ring. Oh, he's getting in now. I can barely see. I'm going to have to stand up here. Good idea here.
Chris Banks now in the ring with a fresh Mike Verna.
Chris Banks going for a tilt-a-war head scissors. Tilts himself all the way around. Thrown in the corner. Big fist to the face.
From Mike Verna here.
Mike Verna has unlimited power. Maybe he's the higher power. I don't even get into that. He might be set up for a superplex here.
I don't know, but Mike Verna is the only man on his feet. Everyone else scrambling.
We've seen this before. Wait a minute. We have not seen this before. Usually there's
all four men up.
Chris Banks is trying to get the hell out. Oh! We've never seen that before. Chris Banks outsmarts them all. Hurts himself in the process. I'm getting dizzy here calling this action.
Looks like a sunset flip powerbomb double looking leg sweep, and all four men.
But nobody's able to make the cover.
The first man to gain his composure could be the next No Limits champion.
There's nobody favored right now. All four guys are down, except there's Jay George wandering around ringside as the referee counts here.
Referee at a 4 count. We're seeing some movement, but no one is up yet. Now at a 6. It looks like Chris Banks.
Verna's making his way up there.
Yep.
As is Banks.
Verna calling for the sky high on Banks.
And he hits it. This one's over. We're gonna have a new No Limits champion. 1, 2. Dirtbag Dan smartly makes a save.
Yep. Now Rudeboy Riley on Dirtbag Dan. The X-Factor.
Knee to the face. Riley makes the cover. It's over. 1, 2. Mike Verna makes the save.
Verna hungry for that No Limits title. Tosses Riley right over the top rope like yesterday's news, but gives chase. The foe stops. Stops to admire the belt.
Tim and Riley, look at him. Listen to them shots.
Riley and Verna, they're spilled to the outside. You have to wonder if this feud is, for them, is larger than the No Limits title.
I see Rudeboy Riley on there. I don't know if you've seen it there, Rob. He picked up one of those garbage cans. He swells Verna with it.
I guess Riley can't fight Verna face to face. Instead, he's got to resort to weapons.
I can't really see the other side. Riley looks like he's putting a garbage can on top of Verna's head. Ding, ding! As he rings his bell.
Over and over
again.
Shots.
Hey, this is all legal. This is a No Limits title match. Chris Banks in the ring right now. I can't see what is Dirtbag. I can't see.
Dirtbag Dan and Chris Banks both down in the ring. Rudeboy Riley still on top of
Rudeboy
Mike
and Verna
Verna.
fighting out there. I can't see what Dirtbag is. Frankie Love doing nothing.
Frankie Love, as is usual.
Mike Verna's just too strong for Riley, I think.
Here he's just
They're coming
manhandling
out
all
here.
around the ring.
Look at Jay George. What a
Just
troublemaker
out
he
in
is.
front of us. Oh, right into the announce table. And Mike Verna, hitting Riley with that chair and bringing him to the locker room, leaving Chris Banks.
Chris Banks
on Dirtbag Dan, 2 and a 3. Banks
This one's
retains.
over.